A new weather pattern is set to continue ramping up across a lot of the United States. This comes as the East Coast is on alert for a possible tropical storm. This video will have the latest details on lots to watch in the weather world. Thank you for joining me in this video, which I want to start with an overview of the jet stream pattern 15 to 20,000 feet into the sky. What happens with the jet stream in the mid-levels of the atmosphere will help in dictating the surface pattern for the coming days. You can see what's going to be going on with the jet stream by the time we go out of our Tuesday when I'm recording this, and then towards Wednesday and Thursday. Overall, the jet stream is going to be forced very far northbound, but with some stronger energy riding on up out of the northwestern U.S. and into some parts of the north-central U.S. and southern Canada. In general, the zone where the jet stream is going to be moving up from the southwest U.S. all the way on up towards the north-central plains, that is called a ridge in the jet stream pattern, where the northbound push in the jet stream is going to allow for warmer than average temperatures to rise on up at the surface level. That is going to occur in part due to the fact that there is going to be a high-pressure system through multiple layers of the atmosphere sitting around Arizona and New Mexico through the coming days. In addition to that, we are also going to see a little bit of a dip in the jet stream coming in from the Pacific Northwest. That is called a trough. Whenever you get a stronger trough in the jet stream with more energy moving out into a region where there's ridging, that is set to cause an active, stormy time in the contrast zone that will likely start in parts of the north-central U.S. and the high plains as we go through the next few days. By the time we get out of this weekend and then towards next week, the potential for stronger storms could push a little bit further eastward as the jet stream energy does just that. With that being said, I want to go ahead and jump into a future radar overview so we can time out storminess in the upcoming pattern. The blended guidance on screen indicates that there will already be some active times ongoing for parts of the country as we go just through the next 24 to 48 hours. On Wednesday, August 6th, one zone to watch will be as we see various areas of moisture traversing parts of the southeastern U.S. and just offshore of the southeast. I'll talk more about the tropical development potential off the coast a little bit later on in the video, but just keep in mind, especially states like Florida, Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas will remain active with showers and storms, and the potential that those storms could cause flooding with a lot of this moisture in the region over the next several days. Up north, we could see a few showers and storms moving out of the north-central plains and into the upper Midwest with a weak system already moving over our high-pressure heat dome. Overall, though, the chance for storms will only rise up more and more day by day up north. Thursday doesn't look like a crazy day in terms of changes to the pattern, but it's really as we get out of Thursday night into Friday where we're going to see that stronger trough in the jet stream starting to move on out over some parts of the north-central U.S. While there could be an isolated stronger storm or two as far east as Michigan, Indiana, or Ohio, a weak piece of energy moving through there into Friday evening, the better chance for stronger storms is going to eject on out as that trough ejects out of parts of the Mountain West and into the north-central plains, eastward from places like Montana and Wyoming, and then especially into the Dakotas, Nebraska, Minnesota, and northwest Iowa. That's where we could get the potential for multiple severe storms, some of them cascading down at a quick rate of speed from the northwest to the southeast into the night. Those storms will especially be fueled up by some of that heating that goes on ahead of our trough in the jet stream where the ridging will still be ongoing. The same effect will occur as we go out of Saturday and into Saturday night over many of the same zones of the north-central U.S. as well as into the upper Midwest. We will see more storms day after day from there as that same general front will continue to push east. This means that we could see a mess of active weather trying to get closer towards the mid-Mississippi Valley region and eastward from there by the time we go to the end of the upcoming weekend and into the following week. With that being said, let's now take a closer look at how some heat at the surface will help in fueling up surface storm fuel in the coming days. Keep in mind that what I'm showing in this graphic is technically called convective available potential energy, or CAPE in meteorological terms. I'm just referring to it as storm fuel for the purpose of this video, and let me tell you, there's going to be a lot of storm fuel very far north as we see plenty of daytime heating in the coming days. Take a look at this. This is as we go into the Thursday afternoon time frame, for example. As far north as the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Iowa, daytime heating is really going to elevate the surface fuel ingredients for thunderstorms to develop. Having this in place does not mean you're going to have robust thunderstorms actually coming together, but as we see that stronger trough in the jet stream moving in through the atmosphere out of Thursday night into Friday, you can bet that the storm chance will only increase day by day. For a day like Friday, that means the storms we see late through the day and into the night could be very concerning as we see a bunch of storm fuel helping them out of the eastern part of North and South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, and into places like Minnesota and Iowa. The same will go out of Friday night and into Saturday, where we see another corridor of energy set to likely develop over some parts of the upper Midwest. Along and ahead of that atmospheric jet stream energy and the associated surface front, that's where we're going to see the surface fuel continuing to go on the rise. We will see it once again on Sunday over some parts of the Midwest. It will decrease into the night as storms kind of use it up. And then here we go again into Monday. We'll see more energy moving up over some of the same zones and spots further east. I think a severe weather pattern is going to get quite active for many spots as a result of this. Keeping that in mind, I want to go ahead and jump on over to a look at my custom ONW severe weather forecasting scale. This is a level 0 to level 7 scale that I often use within a couple days of a severe weather event to forecast the level of intensity storms should be at. For August 8th, this is the Friday and Friday night time frame, I've already highlighted a zone that I think is worthy of a level 3 of 7 storm risk. This includes the Dakotas and Minnesota, where scattered damaging winds, scattered large hail, and isolated tornadoes will be likely hazards as we see plenty of moisture, daytime heating, and then that jet stream energy moving in into the night. I've also already pulled the trigger on a zone of concern for Saturday, August 9th, as well as Saturday night, where once again we could see at least more scattered damaging winds and large hail. That includes parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin in particular. Before I discuss the other active weather zone to watch near the southeast U.S., that includes the tropical development, I do want to talk about the temperature trends ongoing across the country for the next several days. As we go through the midweek time frame, clouds and rain will be keeping temperatures below average for a lot of the east. In the central U.S., though, temperatures are expected to be warmer than average already as we go through the Wednesday time frame. By the time we get to Thursday and Friday, the warmer than average temperature anomaly will only grow more over the nation's midsection as we see that ridge in the jet stream supporting this to happen. Again, as we see temperatures in the afternoon as much as 10 degrees above average as far north as the U.S.-Canada border, it's no wonder that when you pair that with moisture and then jet stream energy moving in from the west, that there would be a potential for severe weather. The one other zone expected to see cooler than average temperatures through the coming days is where we're going to see that dip in the jet stream already coming through, and in fact you'll be on the tail end of it in a place like Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana as we finish the week. Temperatures there in the afternoon could be as much as 10 or 15 degrees below average. That trend might even continue a little bit into the weekend, while the warmer than average anomalies push a bit east and the storms go with it. Let's quickly take a closer look at what those anomalies I just talked about equate to in terms of actual high temperatures day by day for the next few days. As we go into Wednesday, August 6th, so through the rest of the midweek time frame, we're already going to be looking at the general ridge in the jet stream resulting in 90s through a lot of the valleys in the Mountain West, even on out through the high plains and the central plains. Plenty of 90s will be getting very far north. Temperatures won't be quite as far above average in the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Ohio Valley just yet. Lots of low and mid 80s will be in place there. That's not too unusual for the summertime. Things will begin warming up more, though, as we go out of Thursday and then especially into Friday. Look at these numbers. At the far southwest U.S. and the valleys of California, Nevada, and Arizona, many near 110-degree temperatures can be expected there. We'll see plenty of triple-digit heat coming up through the southern high plains and the south central U.S. as we go into Friday. There will be plenty of 90s as far north as places like Iowa, the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Wisconsin, and no wonder why. There's going to be such strong storms as a result of this. Even eastward from where the strongest storms are expected on Friday, we're going to see temperatures near 90. That's definitely going to be, of course, above average for zones like the Great Lakes and then down into parts of the Ohio and Tennessee valleys. Into the weekend, we will still see plenty of upper 80s and in many cases 90s, along with that moisture ahead of that impending front. With that being said, let's now turn attention to the active weather for the southeast U.S., including the active tropical weather near the coast. Of course, the National Hurricane Center has highlighted an area of tropical development concern. This is along and south of an old frontal boundary where there is now the potential of a low-pressure system to form and turn into something tropical. There is a 40% chance over the next 7 days that we get a tropical depression or storm off the Carolina coastline. Let's see what their description says as of the earlier day update from our Tuesday. According to the National Hurricane Center, a weak surface trough currently located several hundred miles off the coast of the southeastern United States is expected to form an area of low pressure in a day or so. That means around Wednesday, of course. Thereafter, environmental conditions appear favorable for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression could form by the latter portion of this week or weekend as the low initially moves slowly westward, but turns more northward. by this weekend. Let's take a closer look at the European model's future radar playthrough to track the evolution of active weather along the old boundary in the southeast, as well as the development of that possible low pressure along our stationary front. As we go out of our Tuesday and into the Wednesday time frame, we're going to see enough jet stream energy along our old frontal boundary and just north of it for there to be some showers and storms over places like the Carolinas. Those could definitely cause flooding, as we've already seen a lot of rain here over the last few days. Georgia, Florida, parts of Alabama, there could at least be some scattered storms there as well, although that is fairly typical for this time of the year. Keep an eye on this moisture off the coast that I'm marking with the dashed line there. That is where we could see something in the way of a low pressure system getting itself together by the very end of our Wednesday and Wednesday night. You can see the swirl if you look at it closely. It's going to be spinning around just a little bit and trying to make an encroachment towards shore. We'll see more scattered storms over the southeast U.S. on Thursday as this thing approaches, and then we'll likely get some form or fashion of an actual tropical depression trying to get going somewhere just off the Carolina coast by the time we get towards Friday. This full East Coast perspective certainly does a better job of showing how the European model is indicating a low pressure system of some sort at the surface, and then a little bit of a pull of moisture coming in, especially around its east side. Is this exactly how the system is going to look? Not necessarily, but it certainly gives you the idea that we are going to see a very weak tropical low pressure system coming in from the south. Whether this makes its way all the way on up the coast while producing heavy rains and flooding potential there, or it just comes into the Carolinas and really just only does its damage in those zones, that's the question that we'll have to keep an eye on. One thing is for certain that can be seen on this graphic, though. The pressure at the surface is going to be very high. We're going to see a lot of surface high pressure sitting around parts of the southern New England zones of the U.S. as we go out of this weekend into the weekend. That means whatever comes out of this little guy right here, that's literally your low pressure center that the European model is indicating. It's probably going to be forced inland, if not over the Carolinas, then by the time it gets on up towards the mid-Atlantic. I'll certainly be keeping a close eye on the evolution of that surface low and how it'll try to form and weaken a little bit and then try to get its act together again near the southeast coast through the next several days. In fact, that leads me into the latest recap of our headlines, which involves the fact that there's lots of weather everywhere to watch for the next several days. That involves the warmth and the storm risks building up for some in the contiguous U.S., as well as the tropics continuing to get more active with the mess near the southeast coast. Regardless of which part of the pattern you're watching, I think it would be very beneficial for you to hit that subscribe button right here on the channel. When you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, you not only help my channel in the algorithm, but you also help yourself by getting your most accurate weather information from this United States weather coverage channel. Of course, regardless of what you do, I appreciate you watching this video and taking the time to listen to me here. Thank you very much for tuning in. God bless you all, and I'll catch you in the next hype-free update.
One Nation Weather.